Hey guys, how's it going? This here's Tracilyn. I'm also known as VCat. And I'm here on the New Jersey side. Actually, is this New York? Am I in New York or New Jersey? I don't even know. I gotta be honest with you. I think New York is over that way. I'm almost positive. That side of this bridge is New York. This side of the bridge. Right there where all those trees are, the mountain, the hill, a stone. I don't know, what is that? Is that a mountain? Guess what? That's New Jersey. I'm in New Jersey, see? Behind me, this is the ever famous bridge. This is the George Washington Bridge. This is going to be the last video that I'm going to share with you for quite some time. I still have a lot of uploads to do, so by the time you see this, it's going to be about a month and a half. This will take you up to 2009, shortly after a tragedy that happened to me. And after that, I relocated to Ohio, and most of my friends back in Ohio, they know my daily life, the things that I struggled with. And I'm looking forward to, at another point in time, in sharing those last 4 years. Before I get started sharing the actual story of why I came here to wrap things up to 2009, I'm going to show you the location that I was parked on just before going to Ohio. Right up top there, you see? The George Washington Bridge actually has what they call a lower level, and they have an upper level. Back in 2009, I was coming across this bridge. I'd be lucky to be doing 5 or 10 miles an hour by the time I hit that point right there. And it started slowing down. So I almost came to a complete stop. Right around there, from what I remember, is where I stopped my car and put it in park. I was on the cell phone that day, speaking with somebody from Ohio, pouring out my heart. Everything that was running through my mind, because I was contemplating whether or not I was going to jump off that bridge that day. I'll share with you why. I've been sharing with you my whole entire life story. I shared with you what it was like growing up, being a country girl, separated family, moving into the city, the bullying years, other things that happen amongst friends and family members, and getting involved in the music industry, coming out as a transgendered. I talked about things that I encountered spiritually and things that I encountered in my religious walk. So I'm seeking a relationship with God out there. Never knowing it was me. I was just looking to accept myself my whole entire life. That's all it was. You know? And I couldn't stop thinking about the negative circumstances that I perceived as being negative all around me. Somewhere along the lines I got stuck in that, and as I got older, for whatever reason, I could not stop meditating on these things over and over and over and over again. Not so much knowing that my life was, like, focusing backwards, thinking life was better, even though I did do that a lot of times in my younger years. But as I got older, I guess I was just looking for every reason to feel down, you know, to beat myself over the head. And I was listening to what other people were saying. My whole idea of life, maybe not the whole idea, but sometimes just me being me seems to be the biggest challenge. You know, it can be a very lonely walk. And in return for that, you can find a whole lot of reasons to make yourself feel pretty awful about who you are. This was it here. I want to work backwards. Bring you up to this bridge. Let me tell you something. When I came out as a transgendered lady, I knew right then and there when I started connecting with people that this is what's going on. In order for me to be happy, I need to match my body, mind, and soul to the best of my ability. Whatever it takes, whatever that was. I wasn't sure at the time. I'm going to start venturing off, and I learned a lot since then. I actually took the initiative to come fully out. Though I don't want to focus on that too much at this time, I'm going to focus on all of the things that led me up to that, because I've been sharing my life story up to a tragedy that happened in Wethersfield, Connecticut. Kind of like the final straw. Did you ever feel that way? This is the last thing that could possibly go wrong. If one more thing goes wrong in my life, I'm done. I can't take it anymore. Let me tell you something. There's a lot of people that reach that point in their life on this bridge and made the choice, I'm going overboard. I can't take it anymore. That was the last punch in my gut. That's how I felt this day here. I've never been so traumatized ever. And it was a buildup of everything in my life that I had endured up until that point. And understand, I was spending a lot of time on the road living life as an escort. The only communications I really had with any kind of in any kind of relationships were usually on the cell phone or the internet. And can I tell you, for me, I need that real life experience. I've realized that, especially the last year, I need that human contact, a deep, some kind of relationship or relationships. Cell phone and a computer just does not work for me. In fact, I'd like to close the computer, turn off the cell phones, and live. That's really what I want, but not that day. This day, I didn't have no computer to close. All I had was my cell phone. And all I wanted was the person who was talking to me on the other end to jump with me. What do you think of that? Imagine getting to this point and saying, you know, imagine if somebody called you and said, please, I'm about ready to do this. Just jump with me, would you? That was me. So I'm in Wethersfield, Connecticut. I'm living life on the road as an escort. I'm traveling around. And can I tell you, during this time of my life, I was bombarding myself with the Christian faith. I've read the Bible, several different versions, several times. I had all kinds of little diaries that I kept with me, taking notes from what the literature I was reading, words of inspiration. For anybody who's ever dived heavy into it, I even had highliners. So I'm basically highlighting the whole entire Bible. You know, I'm hungry, and these are words of wisdom that are going to help me get through this time. Not only was I doing that, don't forget I was involved in life groups. I was involved in going to a local church out of Lancaster, Pennsylvania. I'm watching at least two programs on the internet. Maybe not as diehard as I was after this time. But I'm seeking, and I'm constantly talking to and praying what I believed was God. God's going to open up doors. I don't know what kind of doors, what exactly it was that I was praying for. But I wanted a new life. I was hungry for a new life. So much that I knew that in Rhode Island, if it came down to it, if you wanted to do what they call in-house prostitution, you could do it at that time. Not anymore. You can't. The laws have changed. They fixed the clinch, if you will. So understand this, that I was so desperate to try to survive and go through my transition. That was very important to me. I went through a lot, and I sacrificed so much in my life that the only thing that I'm striving for now is I want to transition. Then after my transition, I need to get a career going, or I need to start balancing a career through my transition. All this stuff is going through my head. One day when I was in a Wethersfield motel, I won't say exactly which one I was at this time anyway. It was in the afternoon sometime. I'm not going to give exact times and dates, but it was somewhere in the afternoon. And understand that when you're living on the road like this, yeah, you have finances is the best resource that you can have because you have so much overhead. You got all your travel expenses, you know, the staying in the hotel, you got food, you got to worry about costumes, promoting yourself. There's a lot of work that gets involved in running a business, for any business. So the biggest thing that I needed in my life at that time to keep things going was finances, because I was living on the road practically every day. And can I tell you that I was constantly being very faithful, very dedicated to investing all my free time when I was awake instead of watching television. By this time, let me tell you something, I eliminated television, I eliminated the radio, I stopped being on the computer so much, talking on the phone so much. I mean, I had a couple friends at this time that I was even talking to on the phone anymore. 3 friends. And can I tell you this? That I was reading and studying literature from the Christian faith on all my downtime, all day long, off and on. I'd study, and let me tell you, hours. This is how addicted and sucked into this whole religious thing was, you know? Seek God, seek God, seek God. And one day I got a call, and it's a gentleman letting me know that he's interested in the services. So we talked, and I mentioned about, you know, him coming over to my office, if you will, where I was located and stuff. Told him to give me a call when he gets there. So here's the thing. After that phone call, I'll never forget, just like I'm walking around now, I was walking around the room as I was getting myself ready. I'd put on a little bit of makeup and I would be talking to God to give me the strength, you know, and a whole lot of other things that I don't remember what the prayers were about, but it was whatever was on my mind, you know. But I wanted to be safe and do what I needed to do to move on. By this time, I'm actually getting tired of living on the road as an escort, and I really need a place to live. But I don't really have anyone to turn to, and I'll explain a whole lot about that another day. But I started getting angry and very demanding with what I believed was God. And I told him at all costs, him, notice it was him, because this was in the literature. I'm only saying that now. It's not what I believe today, you know, but I'm just saying this is back then. So I'm telling this God, basically this is the way it was. This is what was on my heart. And I want to get out of the business. I want to get done with it. And I'm tired of all the foolishness and trying to seek and try to figure out ways to make it happen. I can't take it anymore. The stress is building up. And can I tell you right now, I'm talking about it because I'm here and I got a lot of things running through my mind. At this moment, it's very sad that I can't remember the exact words that I said. They're so important, but I said that I'm ready to get out of the business now, today. Basically. I'm not saying that's what I'm not quoting that, but basically that's what I was getting at. And I said it with so much anger, so much fury. And basically I was, can I say, I was doing my very best to intimidate the God that I was believing in, to show me his magnificence. Show me your magnificence. Show me who you are. You know? And can I tell you something? That's when the tragedy happened. So I clean up my room, I get everything ready, I get myself ready, and I get a call. I'm almost there, blah, blah, blah. So I tell him the hotel room that I'm staying at and invite him over. And within a very short time, there's a knock at the door. Standard. Somebody knocks at the door, you answer the door. Okay, you already know that you're expecting company. And can I tell you something? When I opened that door, that's when the nightmare began. This guy was in my room for more than 2 minutes. He already had me spun around and he had handcuffs on me. Leaves somebody else into the room. And they got me from over here's the room door, right? At this rock. The room isn't that big, but they leave me right over here's a wall. It wasn't that long before my head was basically smashed up against that wall. And they were pretty much invading my room, trying to find things out. And they were starting to talk to me about drugs. Where do you have drugs? Where are the drugs at? You know, and he's telling me that he's working for, you know, such and such police department or whatever. Well, one thing's for sure is Tracilyn. You know what, I already explained my whole walk of life, you know. I'm a wine drinker. I drink a little bit of wine. If I ever smoked, you know, marijuana, so it was a little bit. I don't do drugs. That was never my thing. That's not why I was escorting. And a lot of times, I guess there are people who may get involved in it for that reason, but that wasn't my reason. My reason was survival and getting through my transition. That was very important to me. Plus, I had to worry about getting trained for a job of some sort, an occupation, career. So he comes into my room like I was saying. And right now, I got other sounds that are distracting me. It's very peaceful here, by the way, by the water. I got helicopters again flying over my head. I told you that his friend comes into the room, he lets somebody else in. They're searching all over my hotel room for drugs I do not have. They're searching all over for money, which, you know, I gotta be honest, I ran a business, so I have my money's in the bank. I don't have money on me. I would never do that. I didn't keep money on me. I was running a legit business, adult entertainment. No difference than me playing music, you know. It's a different form of entertaining. So meanwhile, while they're doing this, understand I'm in handcuffs. I'm pretty much against the wall. His friend is supervising me. This guy is going around and acting like he's talking. He's mentioning, because anybody who knows me knows that I have, like, I don't know, I get dry really easily using heat and living in a cooler environment. So I had a humidifier with me and all kinds of things. I'm very sensitive to things, so I had all kinds of different lotions and conditioners and vitamins. A big thing, I take all kinds of, I'm big into physical fitness, so I have all kinds of vitamins and food. So this guy, when he's talking to whoever he's talking to, whether it's true or not, I want to leave it like this, whether it's true or not that he's talking to somebody, it appears, and he's given a very good illusion, that he is seriously talking to somebody who is in a vehicle outside. Now, where are these people from in a vehicle outside? I don't know, because I can't get to the door to look out. They would not let me anywhere near the door. The one guy, they have me in handcuffs. The one guy, his friend, who was a little bit smaller, had me up against the wall, okay? And he's looking like he's not too proud about what's going on. Can I just say that? I want to make that very clear. The gentleman who was standing with me at the wall, he didn't look too proud to be doing what he was doing. I noticed this right away. And can I just say that this person was respectful to me. He did not do anything to hurt me. It was the bigger guy in like a trench jacket. So they're looking all over the room for stuff. And can I tell you something? This guy is, not they, this guy. And occasionally that guy would come over and he would watch. And then the other little guy would kind of go around the room and he would kind of give orders. They had him search the car. You know, they actually went out to my car. They got my car keys and they're searching all over, tearing it apart, looking for stuff. So he's saying things about she must have some kind of sickness or something like that because she has a humidifier running in here, this, that, and the other. She has all these vitamins and, you know, and he's kind of insulting me. You know, I'm not saying he did, but he may have mentioned something about me having some kind of disease or whatever. But he's just, the bigger guy, he's the one to kind of interrogating me, making things pretty hard. Took my purse, emptied my purse out all over the bed. Okay, now understand, this whole time that I'm talking to you, it doesn't seem like I was too scared back then, but can I rest assured, I was terrified. I was terrified because this really big guy comes into the room. It doesn't take more than just a minute or so before he spins me around, has me in handcuffs, and basically pushes me over and slams my head into the wall. He wants me to know immediately he's in charge and he's going to get whatever it is that he wants. Okay? So obviously, I'm too scared. I'm not going to fight them. It's just going to make things worse. I'm in handcuffs. What am I going to do? I don't know who's outside my window because the curtains are closed. The door's closed. One of them ended up going out to my car and searching the car and stuff like that for things. Supposedly they were looking for drugs. I definitely did not have any kind of drugs on me, okay? But they're not going to take my word for it, right? They're not going to take this escort's word for it. It's very important that you know this. Before that happened, I've been doing this now for a couple years at this point. I did it for a total of 3 years. I probably ended it in 2010, 2011, somewhere in that. But this was about 2 years or more into it. And can I tell you what? As crazy as this may sound, I do believe that we get signs from the universe. Now, how those signs from the universe are provided to us, I gotta be honest, I do not know. I don't know if it's people who are trying to reach out to you and give you a forewarning. I don't know if it's really the ultimate power, what they call God, or if it's a source of energy, coincidences. I mean, do you believe in this stuff? This is what I'm talking about. I just want to share my story and get this out. Here's the thing. Prior to that, remember I told you I made a lot of friends with people when I traveled around. So I had friends and they were telling me that there were girls working, exotic dancers working in clubs, and that they were starting to sight a lot of these girls at different times during this time, okay, during this time frame. You know, if it was the month of February, I don't remember exactly, but during this time frame, I have to do research and look back. But during this time frame, maybe over the winter, over the fall months, whatever it was, can I tell you that looking back now after everything I've been through recently, I would say that there was a warning. And I'll tell you how. Because my friends are telling me that at that present moment where I was staying in Wethersfield, right outside of Wethersfield, that there were a lot of exotic dancers who were getting cited for prostitution and stuff. So the reason that I'm sharing this with you is because I don't know if it was God that was reaching out to me, kind of giving me a heads up sign that something was coming my way, or whatever, if it was people from out there somewhere that were trying to give me a heads up. I don't know, because if I have time to share a lot of the things that I've been through here recently, you would be quite surprised for me to tell you a whole lot of stories about how I get involved in conversations and it seems to be one continual conversation that never ends. And it always seems that the information that is coming to me is leading me to another place. It's hinting at me what my life, the direction my life is heading. Kind of like my higher self, people will call that, a higher self reaching out to you. And I don't want to get too technical about that right now, but higher self, think about that. Or is it God? Is it an energy? What is it? Coincidence? Why do these things happen? So meanwhile, when they're doing my room, some of that stuff is going through my head. And long story short, what ended up happening is he started mocking me about being suicidal. I guess they assume I'm a transsexual lady, only they didn't look at it like that. They looked at it very negative. And the bottom line is, there's a good chance that either this transsexual, what they would call prostitute, this transsexual prostitute is probably addicted to all kinds of drugs and probably wants to end her life. One of those things. I guess for some reason, some people have it in their head that the girls in the exotic entertainment industry, this is the way it is true, and it's not. Everybody's an individual. People of all walks of life, we all have our own struggles. Okay, let's make that clear. We all have our own struggles. So I met some pretty amazing people in the adult entertainment industry. They had their act together, let me tell you. So, basically after they pretty much destroyed my room, flipping everything upside down, the person, and I gotta be honest, they didn't find what they were looking for, evidently. I guess that's what they were looking for. I did ask him for a badge. And from what I remember, he flashed it to me. He ain't gonna let me come anywhere close to touching it, kind of thing. Same situation, very similar to what happened when I was in York, Pennsylvania. Can I tell you? Because I asked for the badge. I asked for it right away. I want to know that who I'm talking with and who is mistreating me. I want to know who it is. If you're really with law enforcement, then just show it. So here's the thing. That's who he's telling me he's with. That he is Detective so-and-so. I don't remember exactly the details of that right now. I have to reflect back on it a little bit. But at some point after they vandalized my room, everything's all over the bed, everything's torn apart, all my clothing torn out of my suitcases, my car, oh my goodness, everything in my car was just kind of a real mass distraction against me. He's talking about now about me being suicidal and all this other stuff, which, I gotta be honest, I was. Hello, this bridge right here. So what ended up happening is, he said, we're gonna have to take you down here to the station. Get fingerprints and stuff like that. And I tell you, I was pretty nervous, because of course, my word against theirs, what's going to happen here. Very scary moment. Remember, I just went through this not so long ago, and I'm thinking, is this the exact same thing that's happening to me? I don't know what to make out of it. Can I tell you, I still do not know what exactly to make out of it. But here's the thing. So he says they're ready to take me down to the station, so to speak. I guess to book me. And the biggest thing that he was talking about is I better have bail money, because if not, being that it was close to the weekend is what I remember, then I'm going to be spending the weekend in there. Until Monday, until court, till I get my opportunity to speak to the judge. Okay? The magistrate. Is that the right terminology? Understand, I'm not quoting. I'm saying, I'm sharing a story. I'm going off my memory because it feels like I'm in that room right now as I'm talking to you. Only I don't have the fear. I'm not scared. Just sharing what happened to me. So, with that being said, and I say that a lot, I wish I would stop that. when he mentions about going down there and I better have bail money, I probably said something. I mean, this is something that I would probably say. Do you guys have do you take credit cards? Do you take credit cards, or do you have like a Mac machine or something there? I mean, I don't know. I do have I have girlfriends throughout and friends all over the place. But I really didn't know if, at that time I'm not thinking clearly. So I probably would have said, do you take credit cards, or could I write a check or something, I don't know. Is it cash only? I probably would have said that innocently too, not to make a mockery. Listen, I don't mean to make a mockery out of anything. I would have innocently asked something like, do you take a check or whatever I had? A credit card or whatever. And bottom line is, because I was dressed to entertain, okay, in my exotic attire, the bottom line is, he left it know, you're either going to come with me to the station like that, or you can have the opportunity to change. Which do you prefer? Do you want me to take you out the door like this and humiliate you and embarrass? And you know what I told him? I told him I'm comfortable with who I am. If you want to take me out the door like this, then go ahead. Obviously, my life is already ruined. And that's exactly what I said. Look around, my life is already ruined. I'm not worried about people seeing me in exotic clothing. I go to New York like that and stuff all the time. Back in the day I did. I'm not saying I do now, but back in the day I did. I love to play. I'm a very playful spirit. So he makes it very clear then, after he asked me that, he made it very clear with my response, well, we're not going to do that. You're going to have to go in here and change. Into the bathroom is what he was referring to when he pointed. And don't forget, he's still at least acting like he's talking to somebody on like an earpiece or something. Like he's bugged or microphoned. He has a nervousness about him as he's searching the room for whatever it is that he's really looking for. I don't know what he's really looking for, to be honest. He's saying one thing, but what was it? I don't know. So, all I knew is I wasn't guilty of anything, so I had no worries. The only problem is I know what I went through prior to this, and I'm thinking of my whole life, and I'm thinking I want to get my life straightened out and fall in love. I'm thinking of all kinds of things in my life. So I'm fighting through my depression, my own suicidal tendencies. He was right about that. I'm fighting with all my different struggles in life that I was struggling with. So, gives me the opportunity to go to the bathroom and change. What do you say? You're scared, right? Going to the bathroom, is he going to watch me change? What's going on here? He says he's going to give me a certain time frame to change. He's like, grab yourself some clothing, go into the bathroom, and let's get changed. And we're going to run down here, take care of it, and we'll figure out how we're going to pay for it and stuff like that down there. So, as he closed the door, I'm in there. Understand, I'm nervous. I refused to cry in front of them, but I was shaking, and I'm nervous. I'm not knowing what to expect. I'm thinking this is going to be a horrible situation, because you really do hear horrible stories that transsexuals go through, especially the fact if they're an escort. Sometimes it's just really horrible, the situations that end up happening. I don't know what to expect. I'm trying my very best to have a good attitude about it. And, what am I going to say about anybody, with him smacking my head up against the wall? Nobody's going to believe me. The way that I feel that I was already mistreated. The handcuffs were on really tight, all this stuff. So when he put me into the bathroom, he did take off the handcuffs, by the way, and he asked me before he took them out, "You're not going to try to run away, are you? You're not going to try to run, really? You're not going to try to run?" And I was like, "No, I'm not going to run anywhere. I'm going to get changed." I figured I'll deal with it later on when I get a lawyer or whatever I got to do. So I'm in there changing, and of course it doesn't take him long. He opens up the door. I guess he's afraid that I'm going to call somebody on a cell phone or whatever the deal is, because he patted me down and everything before I went in there. And he looks in the door and he says, "You're not going to commit suicide or anything, are you?" And it's the way he said it. He said it very smart to me, and it had flashbacks from other situations that happened to me, And I'm just trying to be light of it and laugh. No, I'm not going to do that. So I get myself changed. And can I tell you something? Understand, he looked through the door not once, but twice, probably. At least twice. He's checking on me. Are you almost done? You're not gonna end up hurting yourself or anything like that, are you? No. I felt like such a butthead because I'm waiting for him to open up the door again, and guess what? I'm dressed now, and the door's not opening. So eventually I open it up. Hello? Hello? Understand, if these really are undercover policemen, I don't want to upset them. I'm trying to keep the best attitude I can through the process, knowing that I just have to share my story later, meaning to a lawyer or whatever the deal is, or to the court. So I open up the door and I'm looking around and I see the mess in the room, but I do not see the guys that were there. But my bedroom door is open to the parking lot, the hotel room door. So of course, my heart sinks. I'm like, what in the world just happened? Could you imagine that? You're thinking to yourself, what just happened to me? What was the whole point of bringing me to the place of changing, and then they split? You want to know the thing that really stank? Everything that I used to operate my business, including in a very expensive Dell laptop computer that I had just gotten not so long ago. They confiscated that too. They took everything but like a speaker for the computer system that I had. They took all my vitamins, including my hormone prescriptions. My prescriptions for my hormone therapy, HRT they call it. Funny thing is I did have very, very little money on me. Anybody who knows me knows I do not carry much on me. They didn't take the money. There wasn't a whole lot there, but they didn't take that. They took my toys, though. Why would two full-grown men want adult exotic toys? Why would they want these things? So they confiscated, what I've come to the conclusion is at that point, everything that I needed to operate my entertainment business. So I'm stepping outside and I'm looking around. I feel like such a butthead. What just happened to me? I've been robbed. There's my car. My car is a mess. I don't know what to do. This has seriously never happened to me. Not that way. So of course, out of nervousness and everything, I go down to the main office building to the motel. And I tell them what happened. I said, would you please call the cops? I just been robbed. Will you please call the cops? I just been robbed. I don't know what's going on because these guys say they are the cops. And I'll tell you what, it was very convincing, and I'll tell you why. Because the different things that he was being said in the body language. And I can tell you, at this point, I already ran into other situations, things that I didn't share with you. There's no need at this present moment in my life to go through every little detail. I'm just sharing the most crucial times of my life. So the body language is saying, either number one, you are an extremely good actor, or you're an ex-detective undercover, or policeman or whatever. But his body language, the way he talked and everything, the codes, and the way that the gentleman that was with him, it took me back to my childhood. It's like he looked very professional. He appeared to the way his whole appearance and everything. But I understand that this doesn't matter, right? This doesn't matter. Just because their appearance and the illusion, all this. Some con men are absolutely amazing. Let me tell you something. I want to share the rest of the story with you, and I'm telling you right now, there are no con men that are just going to take a couple small things like exotic toys or somebody's prescription pills and then just throw them into a dumpster. They're not just going to do that. Why would they? they would have never took everything. They would have never even wasted their time. If they were seriously looking for drugs or money or whatever that it is, they would have took the little tiny bit of money that I had. You know, if they were that desperate. But here's what ended up happening. So cops came over, and I told them about the situation like I just shared with you. More detail. I didn't tell them I was stomping around the room, talking to God or nothing like that prior. But I told them what happened. So basically what they did is they kind of went through the room. They took a note. They noted everything that I said that I was missing. There was nothing serious missing within the car. So I don't know exactly if it was the drugs they really wanted. I don't know what it was that they were looking for. I don't know what they were looking for. To me, it looks like they were just trying to send a message. Do you ever feel that way? Sometimes people are just trying to send you a message, get out of town, because it's really a waste of our time, you know, to go through this stuff with you. I don't know what to make out of it. But I'm going to share with you the rest of the story. That's why I'm here. That's why I ended up on this bridge. I was traumatized after that. And can I tell you, when I talked to the cops, there was one person who might be more categorized as a detective that seemed to have a sensitive spirit and that he cared. But overall, basically, I realized that a transsexual, exotic entertainer, escort, however you want to look at it, very seldom are they going to be looked. Very seldom are they not going to be looked down upon in the eyes of many people, especially within law enforcement. You know, not all law enforcement. I'm not saying that. I'm not saying all law enforcement, but, you know, in a situation like this, you know, rest assured I could have a sensational feeling that, you know, just get out of our town kind of thing. Go survive somewhere else. Go run your business somewhere else. And I'm saying that because that's the kind of energy that I was feeling in this process. They didn't make fun of me. They didn't insult me in any way. They were being very, very kind. Okay? Especially this one gentleman. And I'm going to tell you right now, I don't know to this day. I don't know, and I kind of try to just put it behind me and forget about it, but I'm still going to share the story. I'm still going to share what happened because it's very important to me that I reach out to people that have been going through very similar things. And you want to know something? Did you ever have a deja vu moment? That's what I'm having right now. I either had a dream about this, or I'm having a deja vu moment, whatever that means to you. The feeling of actually being here before. And I'm here to tell you right now, I've never been here before. Not here. Not in this life. I've been up there before. And I crossed that bridge many, many times. Looking at the beautiful view. So now these officers are there. They're taking notes of everything, of exactly what happened, the details of what happened. They're taking notes of what has been taken. They're actually going around and they're fingerprinting. Dusting everything off, checking it out, looking for fingerprints. Supposedly, I guess, not really coming up with a whole lot. They checked out the car. They were fingerprinting the car. You know, can I be honest with you? Even that really nice detective that I was sharing with you, when he was actually fingerprinting things from the car, whether it was CDs that they may have touched or whatever, you know, the cases, can I tell you that I noticed a few times that when I was talking to the officer and explaining exactly what happened, that detective didn't even look like he was doing anything. It just looked like he was taking a brush. Pretending to be busy. Did you ever notice that about in a situation where you're somewhere and it looks like somebody's just pretending to work so they can either listen to your conversation or whatever the reason is? It did not look to me. It did not look to me like it, but I'm not saying he wasn't. I'm just saying it did not look to me. That's my perception at that time. Now, was he trying to listen in? Probably. You know, he was there to help, I guess. You know, I don't know what to make out of that. Because what ended up happening is, later on that night, I ended up going into the police station. It was either right after that in the afternoon, or it was later on that night. I don't remember exactly. So I want to stay away from dates and times and stuff like that. I understand I was at that motel after that situation for 2 or 3 days, you know, for the weekend. I'm trying to get I got to go over to the local store to get my prescription refilled. I was traumatized. I was on my bed in a puddle of tears, not understanding what just happened. It was like a tornado came through here instantly. And before I knew it, my whole world has been turned upside down. I found out later on that it wasn't just me that it happened to. It was another transsexual escort that was just staying up on the other side of Hartford from where I was. I was staying on the southern side, and she was staying somewhere around the Hartford or northern side. She described the exact same people to me at a later date, and you know, she was under the impression that it was probably impersonators. And I say impersonators because basically that's what the policeman said too, you know, that it was people just pretending to be undercovers. They were doing this, I guess it was an increasing thing, and they target escorts, people who are kind of defenseless or whatever they perceive as being defenseless, and you know, for whatever reason. So when I go to the police station, I understand this. They treated me with respect the whole time. They didn't disrespect me in any way. And this guy was always very friendly to me. It's not that he wasn't. And I explained to him several times, because I went in and he wanted information. He wanted details on what sites do I advertise on, you know, how do I conduct my business, this, that, and the other. He wanted to know some details. It was like, to me, I felt like I was being set up to be sat down to be interviewed. You know, because in interviewing me, I'm just saying this is the way I felt now. Now see, the feelings can be fickle, right? Well, I've very rarely been wrong about something like this. So I'm just gonna say I could be wrong. But it felt like this whole setup, this was a setup, and now they have me where they want to. You know, basically, will you come down and talk to me is the way it was. And I sat down in the office. It was a glass room. You couldn't see, obviously, anybody who's ever been interviewed like that. It's kind of like dark glass. You can't see who's on the other side. This guy's asking me a lot of questions. He's always being respectful. And he wants to know pretty much the details of how I operate, what I'm doing in this area, and all this other stuff. And I'm a very open individual. It's sadly but true. I'm very open. But I was determined to figure out what was going on. You know, and if these guys were really criminals, then of course I had no problem with having them arrested for what they did to me. Plus, then later on I found out what they did to another girl. So obviously they were doing this pretty regularly. They were really good, let me tell you that. I remember feeling really low after I left there. Having that sensation. Did you ever go there, whether it was true or not? Understand that I'm saying, whether it was true or not, I felt very strongly that this was a setup to kind of give me a signal, a sign, because I don't live in that area. You know, is bottom line, don't come through here again. Let me tell you something. It's very obvious that in situations like that, they are well informed. They know who's in the area. And if you come there often, you know, they keep track of this stuff, and rightfully so. They need to know who's in their area visiting, you know. So at that time, it might have been Craigslist, it might have been somewhere else that I advertised a lot on. Legit services, understand. Legit services. And I always looked into various laws. Like I said back in the day, I don't know about now, but in Pennsylvania you didn't need a license to massage. You didn't need a license to do electrolysis. Okay? A lot of different things. Laws vary in every state in the United States, which makes it very complicated sometimes. But let me tell you something. What else am I going to do? I do research. I find out what the laws. If I can't offer exotic massage and somebody calls me in the state of Connecticut, will you offer exotic massages? Well, listen, I'm sorry, I don't provide that service here. You'd have to go to Pennsylvania if you want me to do that. If you ever visit Pennsylvania, then I can do it, but I can't do it here. Understand that. It's very important that you understand that I studied the laws in my local area. I was heavily networked in, so I would do a lot of socializing and finding out these things. I would even talk to my lawyer or talk to different lawyers. I had a lawyer, a couple of them, really. And I had people that could connect me to this. I wanted to know. I wanted to run a legit business. I wanted to know what I could do where I was. And that's why I always went to the same places. Because obviously I'm not going to know every county, every city throughout the United States. It'd be absolutely absurd and ridiculous. So, and that's in any business. Understand that. Any business. Throughout the United States, laws vary. So you got to be careful. You got to back up, make sure that you're following the guidelines. And I know that sounds ridiculous, maybe to somebody who's watching us, but it's true. And anybody who knows me knows that I'm a person who strives to be a person of integrity and honesty. And I just want to make an honest living. And I'm having a hard time surviving. So I take my entertainment abilities and I say, why not use what I got? I got a great looking body, and I love men, and I love entertaining. This is perfect, okay? So there's no laws against that. You need to be licensed for whatever, to do certain, to offer certain services, that's all. So, I don't want to get a whole lot involved in that. But they were pretty much asking me a lot of the details at that time. And understand, I don't do that anymore. I'm into music. That's what I love to do. That's what I've been doing. And this whole video, VCAT vlog, I've been telling you that my website's over here, but it's really over here. Tracilyn.com, what's on the right arm. And this is probably the last video that I'll upload for a while. And I think the subscribe is over here. Am I right? I hope so. Subscribe to the VCAT vlog. Down here. My hope is to finish up my whole life story, and after my whole life story has been uploaded, make just daily blogs. Maybe not. Maybe let it go. I don't know. Right now I need to get this stuff out of my system. I gotta be honest, this whole situation I'm already healed over, by the way. It took me a very long time. Anybody who knows me from Ohio knows that I was devastated. I was bedridden when I went to Ohio. That's how tragic this situation was. It was a tragedy in my life. A tragedy. George Washington Bridge. Yes. So now we're here at the Wethersfield Police Department. Okay? Because this happened in Wethersfield. So it had to be the Wethersfield Police Department. All this information I'd have to get up. Was it the municipal building or what have you? I can't, without looking at my records, to be 100% clear. I'm not trying to center them out for any reason. I'm just sharing my story, sharing what happened that day. And now I'm in a building and I'm talking to this detective, or I don't know what his rank was exactly. I'd have to go and look at all this information that I have saved. After that interview, understand, we had a relationship where I would call, because I didn't want to leave here. I wanted to give them a chance. They asked me, how long are you going to stay? I'm going to stay for the weekend. I want to see if they can actually find my stuff, or maybe these guys, if they're real criminals, they're going to keep on doing this. Maybe eventually they'll get caught. And if they get caught, maybe I'll be one of the lucky ones, and they'll find I just wanted my laptop back. Obviously, all my files and everything that were on there at that time. And the expense of that computer, I wanted to make sure that I could leave Connecticut with my computer to go back home. So during this downtime after I left there, I'm on the phone with a very close friend of mine that I grew up with, telling him exactly what I've been through. I probably spoke with one of my girlfriends that I would talk to regularly when I was out on the road. I don't know who else, but now I'm making phone calls back at the hotel room. After laying on my bed and crying and crying and crying and crying and crying, letting out all the pain and agony, I'm looking around the room. I gotta admit, after that happens to you, you think that they're not going to, what are the odds they're gonna come back? I mean, you think logistically there, the odds of them coming back are slim to none. They didn't find what they're looking for, they took off with my stuff. The odds of them coming back, slim to none, right? But you can't help but constantly have flashbacks of what happened. And you're thinking to yourself, you wish that there was something that you could have done, should have done, would have done, if only you'd known that they were setting you up like this. And now you're weighing out, were they really detectives, undercovers, were they just trying to give me the signal to get out of town and don't ever come back here no more? You hear all kinds of bizarre stories about stuff like that happen, whether they're true or not. I'm not saying that. I'm not saying that at all. Whether it's true or not, that's what I've come to the conclusion. I'm not here to say it was true. I'm just here to share my story. Let you decide. You decide whether or not they were really undercover or if they were people setting me up. Criminals. If they were criminals or if they were undercover. I don't know. Leave your comments down below. Don't be afraid. Share with me. What do you think? Do you think these guys at this point were detectives trying to send me the signal? Do you think maybe it really was criminals? So obviously my friends are trying to encourage me a whole lot of their own perspectives, how I should probably be going about life and this, that, and the other. Maybe it's time to come off the road and stop living that way, or stop doing it alone, start traveling with friends. And can I tell you, I did do that. I did travel. Sometimes I would meet with friends and we would stay right there at the same hotel. In fact, this is something that the guy who was at least pretending to be an undercover was asking me. And I think I might have been asked that too, whether it was a station or a municipal building, however you want to say it. I know the building that I was at, I just can't think of the actual title of it. I call it the station, but it could have been something, a municipal building of some sort. I'd have to look it up. Because I like to be accurate, and I gotta be honest with you, I didn't have time to do that. And it would be so beneficial to so many people. But it's happening the way it is in a very beautiful area of New Jersey. Looking at New York. I love New York. New York is the first city I ever went to as Tracilyn. Outstanding experience, I already shared about it. Now I'm looking at the George Washington Bridge is behind me, and I had a deja vu moment, which was pretty bizarre. Did you ever have that? Leave a comment down below, share with me. Do you have videos of deja vu moments? So understand this, I am traumatized. I do not stop crying. I do not stop reflecting back. Oh, when something like that happens to you, your head smashed against the wall and you're handcuffed and your whole room's messed up, your car, they invaded your car, you just feel so violated. What are you gonna do about this? And the words that were said, oh my goodness. So I waited and I talked to a lot of people on the phone. I did a lot of crying, a lot of talking to God. And can I tell you something? My faith was destroyed. I remember coming to a point, remember I told you, if here's the door, then over here, which I was over there standing, but there's a lot of people there now. Then over here by the grass is probably where the wall would have been. And the bed would have been over here. My desk would have been over here, and my dresser over on this side. Everything was a miss. I'm worried about my hormone therapy, of course, because you don't want to miss even a day. You go through all this stuff. Can I tell you something? If right here was my mirror, where that bridge is, I remember sitting down on the counter. Uh-oh, I hope I didn't put on my glasses. Hold on. Oh, I got my glasses on. And I remember looking into that mirror, okay, right over here, and crying my eyes out. I just stared so deeply. Do you ever have that experience? You just stare so deeply, and something tells you it is absolutely over. You might as well forget everything. That was that punch. Punch that sends people over the bridge. The punch that gets people to stop on the bridge. Skydive without a parachute. Only I wasn't thinking that. I'm looking in the mirror and I'm having a mental breakdown, emotional breakdown that is at its worst in my whole life, because everything in my whole life flashed between my head. And let me tell you something, at that point, the one thing that I was living for the most was for my transition. I wanted so bad to transition. And after that happened, something in my heart told me it will never happen. And after that, if you're living for that one thing, it's not that I didn't care about my friends. It's not that I didn't care about other things. It was an absolute priority. And until you are a transsexual person, or if you have a history of transgenderedness, you do not know what it is. You do not know what it's all about. You know, you could have had a totally different life. And circumstances that lined you up can help you to have a compassionate heart. But until you walked in somebody else's shoes, you can't be, what I'm saying is, don't be so judgmental on, well, Tracilyn, that's no big deal. I mean, yeah, it's no big deal now. See, I'm a survivor. I survived. I didn't do that. I didn't take the punch and jump off that bridge. Listen to me. I did not take the punch and jump off the bridge, whether it was cops or not cops. Something in my heart, I'm going to be honest with you. Can I be honest? I think it was cops. I do, because I look at the signs and coincidences of things that I struggled throughout my life. And I think in my own head, and I told the officer this later on, you'll find out that eventually I had a conversation with the officer a little bit later on. And I'm not going to say that right now, but here's the thing. I told him that I knew that it was them trying to send me a signal to get off their turf. And I explained to him my situation. He was very familiar, you know, with my history and stuff. And I told him I was trying to survive, and I'm an entertainer. I was not doing anything illegal at all. I do not do drugs. I don't do all the things that these guys were trying to seek out. You know? And I'm not here to judge people who do. We all do things. My thing was transitioning and trying to establish a new life as Tracilyn. So there I am. I'm staring in the window, and I feel very confident. That's it. And let me tell you something. I never felt so much pain in all my life. I'm surprised that I can share this with you right now and smile. Look. I can smile. I remember what it was like. I'm starting to get tears in my eyes a little bit. I remember what it was like looking in that mirror and feeling my whole life's over now. No more. There's nothing worth living for. Everything's gone. Every time I attempt to do something, I fail at it. I don't have success at what I'm trying to achieve. For whatever reason. You know? It was the most awful feeling I ever felt in my whole life. And can I tell you something? I'm gonna sit here if it's okay for a while. When you have that feeling inside, you're looking in the mirror, you're agreeing to all this. this. Let me just put it this way. I never cried so hard in all my life. And the way I shook, I couldn't hold my head steady. And maybe you've come to this place in your life where you're like, you know what, my life's completely over. What it is that I was living for is now over. And all I really wanted to do is match my body, mind, and soul. I mean, that's what it came down to. And it didn't seem like it was going to be that hard of a task to do. It's really windy out here. I'm going to put these back on. Is that okay? Tell me if you don't like me having my sunglasses on. Tell me, what if I stand this way? And when I came here today, I got to admit I was a little nervous coming through the time and everything with all the traffic. It's been a long time since I drove through New Jersey. I love New Jersey, by the way. I love New York. I love the traffic, believe it or not. I probably couldn't be stuck in a pattern of doing it all the time, but because it's more of an adventure for me than a daily life challenge, going back and, what do they call that? Not transporting. What do you do? Commuting back and forth to work to home. Since I don't have to live that lifestyle on a daily basis for a long time, obviously, it's more an adventure for me, so it's more enjoyable. I used to look forward to coming here. And I don't know exactly what's all over there. If that is Manhattan, I gotta be honest with you, I don't know. I'm silly when it comes to stuff like that. But I just remember this beautiful view and the fact that I'm here. I have so much peace once I arrived here in New Jersey by the water. Because I can't tell you how many times in my bedroom back in Ohio that I have contemplated about coming back here. Check this out. I say that a lot. Get used to it. Check this out. That's my word. That's my word. You don't copy me, okay? Check this out. What do you do at a time like that? You call people eventually, but you just want to be alone. You want to die. I'm not saying you. I wanted to die. More than anything in the world, I wanted to just be dead. How do I eliminate myself? I go get a gun. Let me tell you something. I've made attempts. To make attempts. So let's leave it at that. Sometimes I didn't actually hold something to my head, or I didn't hold something to my arm, or I did not stop on a bridge. Sometimes I made an attempt to just go get something and then decided, you know what, I had a nervous breakdown and I couldn't do it. I had to call a friend and say, I'm getting close. I'm getting close. Let me tell you something. If you have people in your life that you can trust that aren't going to get all dramatic about it, people you can trust, I need a friend right now to talk to. I need a friend, will you please, I'm thinking about dying right now and I can't remove it from my head. Because that's what it was. For me, I can't. When I get that serious about it, I can't remove it from my head. The only way that it's going to remove from my head is if I attempt to do something with it. Okay? Go jump. Go jump, Tracilyn. So eventually what I'm going to say is, I stayed there for 2.5 days, same thing. I ended up going to get my prescriptions at a local store and wrapping things up over there at the whether it's a police station, a municipal building, with that detective, if that's what he was, I don't know. He was some kind of a cop. I'd have to look this stuff up to be sure. But let me tell you something. I was so scared to leave. I didn't know where I was going to go. Am I going to go back and buy a new computer? Am I going to buy the supplies I need for my business? Where am I going to go? Because usually I would, anybody who knows me, is I would work my way up and down the East Coast. That's pretty much all I did. And when I got to Pennsylvania, I'd stay. So I might be out on the road for sometimes, it might only be 2 weeks. Sometimes it might be a month. Sometimes longer. It depends where I went. Sometimes 3 months. It all depends on what I'd be doing and where I'd end up. Am I going to LA or what's going on? I love to travel. Okay, it wasn't always just business. I love to do things like this, just take an evening and just enjoy the beautiful view. So it's a pleasure to be here right now. I love it. I've never seen a bridge. This view. Very romantic place to be. Can I say that? It's very romantic here. And I feel good. feel really good. Let me tell you something. When I want to finish this up here, and then I'm going to share some other thoughts that I have. I'm running out of battery and memory. It's very important to me that I wrap things up, at least with this story. So what ended up happening is I still didn't know what to do by the time I got everything packed up. I mean, it took me a lot longer than it needed to clean up my room. It took me a lot longer than it needed to clean up my car because I'm in a great deal of pain. I'm confused. So I get all my belongings together, what I have left, and I don't know what to do. I had to check out. When I checked out, it was probably closer to, in the morning to mid-morning, early afternoon. I'm not 100% sure, but somewhere in there. And I left, and I didn't know what direction to go, so I'm starting to head back to Pennsylvania, where I at least had family, and that's where I was born and raised. And I'm thinking at this time, I have my little apartment, but I'm not going to, I need to be on the road traveling if I'm going to make a living. I really came to that conclusion. The only thing is I'm burning out from it. I'm getting really tired of doing this. I wish there was a place I could go home and there was a place of love. My little apartment, there was nobody, even my dog by that time, because I couldn't find a babysitter and all kinds of things that were going on, the responsibilities of that. I had to find him a home. One of the hardest things I ever did in my whole life was finding my boxer a home. And I explained that in other videos, but here's the thing. So I have nobody at my apartment. Am I just going to go there and be alone, or am I going to be alone living in hotels and making myself available for work? Makes sense, right? You got bills to pay, you want to get through your transition. Was this the final punch? Am I going to stop following my dream because something happened and I can't make sense of it? Or am I going to push on? I'm thinking, I'm ready to give up. I wish I would die. I don't know how to die. I can't just go to a hospital or go to my doctor and say, please put me to sleep. I had enough. I can't take it anymore. And you know what? I got to be honest with you. I think that's a shame. I think it's a shame. And I'd really love to touch base with my feelings on that, because people of all walks of life have their reasoning to be laid to peace. And if they've been struggling with things for years upon years and they're not getting the help they need, whatever the method would be, I am a firm believer in that. My situation, even now, I lived 41 years. I'm tired of bouncing around. I'm tired of not having a home to call home where I'm accepted, drama-free. I think of this stuff all the time. Since I came out, my life spiraled out of control. I couldn't grab hold of it anymore. But a lot of people say, well, you made the choice, Tracilyn. You made the choice. I made the choice because I had no other choice. If I could have held on and hid everything about myself for days, months, years, for the rest of my life, you got to be crazy if you think that I wouldn't have. I had to be myself. I was born to be myself, and this is a whole nother topic right now. I had to be myself, and I'm so sick of people saying, you made the choice, you did it to yourself. Let me tell you something. I did not choose to be born this way. I was born this way. Unfortunately, it went undiagnosed, and I'm living a life trying to be everything everyone else is telling me to be, and it's destroying me. So the only choice I have is either be myself or eliminate myself. And I gotta be honest, there are many times after this situation that I stared at this. I had a picture of this on my desktop, on my laptop. I watched videos on YouTube. I seen documentaries where people committed suicide jumping off the bridges. And can I tell you something? I weigh out the statistics because I gotta be honest. Putting a gun to my head and missing half of my head blown off and still surviving because people who say they love you don't want to lose you. Okay? Up to that point, what does it matter? You did it to yourself. Go survive. Oh, she blew half her head off now. We got to keep her alive. And let's just continue to mistreat her. Okay, for the rest of her life. It's horrible. It's horrible that people have to seek out other means, other alternatives when I can just go to the... You know what, Tracy? I wish you didn't do this, but you went through the legal procedure. You're 41 now. You can make your choice. Let me tell you something. I want to live if I can be me and do the things in life that I love. If I got to keep living to try to make $1, I'm never going to be happy. Never. And I've reached that conclusion. I have so much to share with you. I have so much to share with you. And that's why I'm sharing my story. I had to get out the basics of my life because let me tell you something. I care. I care for everybody that doesn't have somebody in their life to care for them. I have been alone up to this point a majority of the time. Everybody has turned their back on me. And they keep casting the blame down on me. It's all my fault. I did not make myself born this way. I can't help that all I wanted to do was be a girl my whole life because I am a girl. All I want to do is play and do girly things, what the world calls girly things. Okay? Really, I get it. I'm a femme spirit. I'm an extremely femme spirit. Right now you might be saying, you don't even sound like a girl, you don't look like a girl. Yeah, because you know what? I've never been at this point of not caring about a whole lot of my appearance or anything anymore. I just don't care about that. What I care about is making it very clear for the whole transsexual community or for people of all walks of life. You know, stop bullying everybody around. You know, there's somewhere in this world somebody's going to care for them at some point. And if not, why don't they have the freedom to just be who they are and live in peace? Life is hard enough, let alone people being pushed around all the time. Denied their equality, denied the freedom to be themselves. Don't you think most of these people that jumped off this bridge, all they want to do is smile? They want to be loved. They want to hug. I'm tired of people that have to have tough skin. You got to be an alligator skin and a wildcat mentality to survive in this world. It's uncalled for. And it bothers me that these people jump off the bridge because I'll tell you what, there's been many times that I thought I wish I would go to this bridge and meet somebody and hold their hand and jump with them together. So they know that somebody loves them. Because up to this point, I'm thinking, what is life worth living if everything that I attempted in my life, I feel that I failed at. I failed at it. And now my transition, I'll never be able to transition. Don't I just look like a fool? After all this hard work, all the things that I went through. And I'm wavering things. Maybe if I lived in another country or I moved to another country where it's not such a big issue. You know, they get you the medical attention that you need. It's taken care of. It is a necessity. It is not a luxury. You know, if you have a disease or you have cancer, you know, whatever the deal is, you have something, you're in a bad car accident and you're bleeding to death, you're going to want to seek out mental. You're going to want to seek out medical treatment. Right or wrong? Yes. You can't disagree with it. Yes. Yes, you do. And the last thing you want to be worried about is how in the world are you going to pay for it? Everybody knows it's going to cost a fortune. All right, so meanwhile, the transsexual community is wavering this back and forth. You know, years ago, people used to be locked up in mental institutions because either A, there was lack of understanding, or B, there was people with stronger intelligence above that wanted to control and dominate and oppress these people and keep them off the street because they wanted people to live this way, a certain way. And let me tell you something, more and more people are realizing, no, we're not crazy because of who we are. All we want to do is be ourselves. We're tired of being oppressed and beaten up for it. We're not crazy. There's nothing crazy about it. It's beautiful. The problem is the world has been programmed to see it much differently. And they do that through what? Entertainment. They do that right at your television set, right on the radio, listening to a DJ make fun of, well, I saw a cross-dresser today, or I saw a guy in a dress today, and you know, and then all of a sudden people allow themselves to be locked into that image, you know, for the rest of their lives without saying, you know what, even as transsexual, I make jokes that I can see different men in dresses and it would just make you laugh. It's so funny. But it's not funny when it's a real transsexual person or transgendered person. a human being. They don't want to be laughed at and humiliated everywhere they go. They want that freedom to be themselves. So we need to take it on an individual basis to learn to separate it enough that we can have fun with things like that. But on the same token, you don't want to send somebody over a bridge. Get it in your head. Stop being so bulldoggy. You know? Let me tell you something. So I go back home and I end up talking to this guy almost a year later. I talked to him once or twice maybe beforehand. I figured it like this. To me, I'm going to be honest. I figured that it was undercover cops that were trying to send me a signal. They don't have time to really waste with me, but let's face it, it's a Saturday afternoon. Get them in. Get her out of here. Maybe she'll never come back here again. She'll be too scared to come back here. Let me tell you something. Tracilyn later on was not too scared to go back. Okay? Because I have nothing to be scared of. I do not run. You know, a lot of people do things differently. For me, I'm a professional. I ran a professional business. And I don't want to be bulldogged around, so I don't know whether or not it was officers of the law or not. But I do know that I never got my stuff back. And here's the thing. Here's something that you need to know. So when I leave there, I end up calling somebody that I ended up living with in Ohio. And I'm spilling out my heart and spilling out my heart and spilling out my heart. Okay? As I'm leaving Wethersfield, the whole way down through, I start slowing down more and more and more and more. Not because there's traffic there. Not because there's traffic coming up on the bridge. Because this is a time of day where traffic is flowing pretty smoothly. But because once I started seeing signs for the George Washington Bridge, all of a sudden I stopped thinking of creative ways to eliminate myself. Why not just go off the bridge? It just takes a couple seconds, really, to jump out of your car and jump over the rail. That's it. And trust me, I'm not saying that in ignorance of saying, I'm not saying that to be ignorant. I'm saying that's how quick you could do it. I think there should be other methods that if people aren't going to get the help that they need and they go through a procedure rather than seeking out alternatives like this, I think they should be able to go to their family doctor. If they're old enough to serve their country, they're old enough to make the decision to die for themselves, period. Doesn't matter what you think of it. Doesn't matter what I think of it. It's their life. And let's face it, I know now that bottom line is, if I'm not doing what I love to do all day long, and I mean business, do it as a business, but if I'm not doing what I really love to do, then I don't really want to live either. And if I can't be me in a world that just wants me to be everything that I'm not, then to heck with it. Maybe I'll seek out other alternatives, since I can't just go down to my family doctor and say bye-bye. It's time to go bye-bye now. Okay? So I knew that as I saw the signs. And let me tell you, as I got closer, I got slower. And I slowed down even more. And I started crying. Because the wheels of my car touched the very beginning of where that bridge goes down over here. Let me zoom this out. See over there by the buildings? Okay, somewhere in there. Somewhere in there. Here's the bridge. So there's the cars at. Can I tell you something? When I got to that point, my car slowed down to like 3 miles an hour if I'm lucky. Because now I'm thinking, there's no way that I'm going to cross this bridge and then turn around and come back. If I'm going to do it, let's do it now and get it over with. So all of a sudden, I start freaking out on the phone. And I'm being asked, what's wrong? And I said, I am now on the George Washington Bridge. I want to die. There's nothing for me. I don't have a family. I lost everything. All because I decided to be myself. I made that choice. I can't get a job because the laws that we have, listen to me, the screwed up laws that we have say I can't change my driver's license at that time. Thank goodness now you can. I can't change my legal documents to match my identity, which is in my mind. And I have proof through studying the history of my whole life. I already seeked out all the professionals who are agreeing with me. I'm doing the best way to live my life comfortably in a world that says, don't do it. Okay? I lost everything. Now my whole life was turned upside down, not after false charges against me for prostitution that did not exist. I never took money for sex. I wouldn't be that stupid to take money for sex. Or, yeah, sex for money. I love you guys. I'm getting a little excited here. Do you get it? Now my whole world's been turned upside down. I don't know if I can necessarily trust the police forces anymore, because to me, everybody around me is looking down on me for something. Everything about my life is horrible. Oh, Tracilyn, you just lost your boyfriend from New York City, that Italian man that you fell in love with. By the way, who I love very much. You lost him because he doesn't want to date an adult entertainer. You can't blame the guy, can you? Forget the fact that you're surviving and you're making a half-decent salary at it. Okay? And you're enjoying yourself. You're not being forced there by a gun or anything. You're doing it all by choice. Okay? I'm not complaining about it. Yes, I want another future, but I have a very expensive transition to pay for with my own hard work. Unlike some other countries where I wouldn't have to worry about that. Okay? Because maybe I could have got an insurance plan that would have helped me. Maybe I would have been one of the fortunate ones somewhere along the line that would have been able to say, you know what, my better bet is to just go ahead and buy this insurance plan, and then yes, use it to help me get through my transition. Whatever I got to do, what is a person got to do? I can't imagine how many different things I thought of raising the finances to do this. Let me tell you something, it's not easy. It's not easy, and I'm tired of people who don't understand it, making it seem like it's not a big deal. It's a huge deal. It's a huge deal, and I should not have to spend the rest of my life trying to figure out a way to do it. None of the girls should. None of the girls should. What are the answers? Leave your comments down below. Tell me what your answers are. I don't know all the answers. All right? I'm saying I want to make an honest living. I want to be myself. I want a little girl someday. You know? I love to entertain. Do you think I really want to jump off a bridge, or do you think I want to walk up there and wait for people who are jumping off and tell them, you know what, I'm a success. You don't have to do this. I was parked on this bridge right here. And I'm alive. And I'm happy. But I don't want you to do this because I care if nobody else in the world cares. Let me tell you something. I care. If nobody else in the world cares, I care. I don't want anybody jumping off that bridge. It's a beautiful bridge. And the most stupidest thing is always when people decide, well, you know what, we better spend millions of dollars to put up barriers to deter these people from jumping off the bridge. Because let me tell you something, if they want to jump off, they're going to jump. They're going to figure out a way. If they're going to end up not going there, they're going to jump in front of a truck. They're going to end up putting a gun to their head. They're going to end up doing something. Because the system is set up that you better get creative if you're going to do it. Because we're not going to let you come to our local hospital and put you to sleep. And every time you reach out for help, we're going to keep slapping your hand and slapping your cheeks and tell you want everybody to do everything that you don't. You made the choice. You live with it. Let me tell you something. I heard some of the biggest BS of my whole life. Over and over and over again. And guess what? The human mind is programmable. And what you fall into agreement with is going to be true in your illusion of what's in this world. We all live differently. We all have different beliefs. And we need to all stop thinking that life is exactly what we think it is, because it's not. It's much bigger than that. And everybody wants to be here on planet Earth. They want to experience love, completeness, fulfillment. And the truth of that is getting into your heart, discovering who you are. It's supposed to be a joy on this planet. Figuring out who you are. But we aren't being taught that. Most of us are not being taught that. We're being distracted by that, through religion, through a lot of other things, okay? We're being distracted from getting inside our heart, being honest with ourselves, and then now we can live our life and start being compatible with other people. Then we have the right friends. I'm not saying it'll make life easy. It will make it a little bit easier. We'll be living our life being true to who we are. When we fall on really hard times, guess what? Your family isn't going to let you down. Your friends aren't going to walk away from you. You know? They don't want you to consume them. But the bottom line is, there's no reason that anybody on that bridge at that time should be on a phone and say, you know what, I have nobody to talk to. Nobody loves me. Nobody cares. And I'll be the first to say that instead of putting millions and billions of dollars into putting a deterrent fence up above there, it's ridiculous. You know? Because all of us can make the difference when we start showing that we care. By extending an arm of gratitude, you know, thankfulness. I see you here on this bridge. I was on this bridge. Life is worth living. What's going on? Let's talk about it. If you never met anybody your whole life in the last year that cares about you, I care about you. But see, you won't see that happening, will you? Good chance you won't. Oh, what's the use, Tracilyn? I stood out there for 6.5 months and I always seem to miss them for some reason. Just when I go on a coffee break, that's when they jump. I don't know what the answer is, okay? But that's why I'm making this video blog, because I want to share my life story to inspire people to set them on fire, that they start reaching out in love. And they start getting to be honest with themselves about who they are. They stop listening to what they hear on the radio, on the television, and the religious leaders telling them who God is and what's going on, and accept the fact that they are God. And they're not called to do anything else but be true to their heart, which means sometimes you have to say no to people, and it'll break their heart. But not everybody in the world needs to say no to a person that's ready to go off the bridge. You can't tell me that they didn't run across somebody that could, whatever reason, okay, get them the medical attention that they need. You know, you having problems with your finances? I don't know what you're going through. You just lost your job. You can't get a job. This is a really hard place to be. Oh, yes. Just lost your home. Did your wife divorce you? Are you being bullied? Because you're going to find out. I have something to share about that. There's a lot of people that have been bullied that jump off this bridge. Okay? And that hurts. It hurts me a lot. I don't want to be a person who jumps over the bridge. I want to be a person that stops someone for jumping over the bridge. Whether you believe it or not, it's true. And that's what sets me on fire every day. And the only thing that I do is to share my life story, to let people know that in 2009, that's where I was. And I'm running out of memory. I'm going to tell you, I'm going to swap it over right now, because my battery is about ready to go out, which means I'm pretty much done here after that. As I got up to the center of the bridge where I started this video at, that car stopped. My car stopped. And it went in park. And as I continued to say about jumping over the bridge, I begged the person I was talking to just comfort me in their voice while I do it. I started to open up my door, and they heard other people were beeping their horns, going by, trying to stop, but you know, there's a lot of traffic there, and they're trying to stop, and they're beeping the horn, and they're saying, don't do it, don't do it, don't do it, don't jump. You know, and you could see the terror in their eyes and their faces as they're screaming this through their windows. Don't jump, don't jump, don't do it. They're blowing the horn, they're trying to get me out of the way. Can I tell you something? I was on that bridge for at least